everyone. I'm standing between you and lunch, so I'm just going to tell you a story. My name is Qudus Asfaw. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Kubik. Kubik started its journey here in Ethiopia, so I'm really, really proud and happy that this gets to happen here at home. So I'm just going to tell you a very quick story about me. I am the son of Dr. Fissa Asfaw and Wezaro, which means Mrs. Elizabeth Ndada. My mom was a flight attendant. I got to see the world through her. And one of the things that she would always do is take us to places that she's traveling. And here is me, 5 years old, on an actual plane, mid-flight in London, and the pilot actually just gave me the seat. My mind was blown. Here I was with a functioning plane, 33,000 feet above air, above the ground, and I'm actually riding it. When I think about this moment, I felt like I can be anyone, I can go anywhere, and I could be anything. And it's these type of moments that I remember my parents, my brothers, giving me the opportunity to believe that I could be whoever I want, and I could be the best at it. My parents invested a lot in my education, but they also invested a lot in the humility of what it means to have opportunities like the one that I had, and how I had to pay it forward. So, in essence, people invested in my future. From school to college, all the way to the work that I did as an intern, it was people that actually guided me. It was people that showed me the way, that taught me new things, and always told me that I can do, especially when I was in doubt. And after years of working in the private sector, especially working in places like Google or Accenture, all these exciting places, it always came back to me of what my parents invested in me, which was the humility of how I pay this forward. And this is how my journey led me to UNICEF. And I would say UNICEF was this place where I was able to combine my passion for technology and software, which I just love being a nerd about, all the way to the care that I have for people and how I can improve people's lives. And I got to do one other thing that my mom definitely made sure I did, which was have the love for being around the world. I got to travel and work in over 40 countries, places like Myanmar, places like Chile, places like here, as you can see, in Côte d'Ivoire. And I got to do things around tech, and it was so amazing. But I do remember this moment where I was actually going to Côte d'Ivoire. And I land, and I open my phone, check the news, and I see that back home where I grew up here in Addis, there was a landslide in a landfill, and it actually killed people, a lot of people. And a lot of what was going on in my head was, we have a landfill? Like, I grew up in this place, I've never seen this before. And where's this trash coming from? Like, I have never seen so much trash in my life. And why are people living there? Or why are they living around it? And it really stuck to me. Coincidentally, around that same time, my mentor, who also happened to be the head of UNICEF in Côte d'Ivoire, wanted me to see this thing that he had built. It was this school that was made out of plastic trash. Man, I wanted to forget everything I've done ever before and only do this. My life became about trash that moment. For several years, I worked on making this thing work. UNICEF was a launching pad to an inspiration that still lives today. We were able to build a factory, we were able to mobilize women to take out trash, make these bricks, and we built over 500 schools made out of plastic waste. It didn't stop there. As many things have gone in my life, and a lot of what I've drawn from my dad, is when something seems right and successful, it's time to move on to the next problem. And for me, it was, all right, well, here's a school. We've done it in Côte d'Ivoire. We've done it through UNICEF, but what's next for this? It cannot stop now. I've seen this thing at home where there's a landfill. There's so much trash. I've grown up in a city that has boomed. How can we do this stuff all over the world? So I decided to invest my time in thinking about how this can be transformational beyond the work that happened at UNICEF. And about 2 years ago, my project partner at UNICEF, Penda, and I decided to leave, and we started Kubik. And Kubik was built on a vision of how we can change what home means for our kids. We wanted our kids, I wanted my kids, never to see in the news what I did that day when I landed from my flight. And we wanted to create a company that can really reimagine what it means to be in a city in Africa, and a city that my kids could proudly call home. And I was overconfident about it, I won't lie. I'm like, what? I've done this thing in UNICEF, I've built all of these schools, I've raised millions of dollars for this. This is going to be so easy. Getting money is not easy. I spoke to hundreds of people, hundreds of investors over the span of a year. And here's some of the common things that I would hear. Kadus, this is high risk. Kadus, we don't invest in Africa. Kadus, I mean, but you did Google, like, why hardware? Like, we don't do hardware. That's crazy stuff. Kadus, wait, you're way too early for us to invest. Come back to us later. Oh, Kadus, you're way too late for us. I mean, if you only got back to us a year ago. What's your AI strategy? I'm making bricks from trash. I have no AI strategy. But there was this point where my confidence was super low because I realized I was trying to build a company that other people had set a criteria for, and I found that to be the wrong thing to do. I had to come back to that root of why this thing started, and it was to reimagine cities. It was to reimagine a city for my kids. And in order to do that, it can't just be me and Penda that did it. It required a rock star team. And we said, forget all of these investors. Let's invest in the vision that we have, and let's invest in the people that we want this company to be led by. We wanted this to be a company that was led by Africans. We strongly believe that any African can build a global company. They can make the next Tesla. We wanted to build a company that was led by women because we noticed this is a sector, manufacturing, real estate, waste, that was done by women, but they got the bottom end of the value. They were the most disenfranchised, and we wanted to change that. We knew they had the capability, the experience, and honestly, they would be the most investable people for a company like Kubik. And we thought a lot about it, and we started off with principles. What do we want Kubik to stand for? We came up with 10 principles. These are principles that we wanted the world to know who we are, but also for principles that people are required to abide and believe in when they join this mission. Because we knew the moment that Kubik goes through hard times, it's not that smart person that's going to save it, it's that determined person who's believed that this thing will work. And we wanted all of them to feel that way. The second thing that we thought about is if we want women, we have to change the way that we cater to women. I find it crazy that a woman is expected to have a baby and come back in 3 months and work at her peak. We said we're going to have a very generous maternity policy. We're going to value every woman. They're going to come in here. They're going to be taken care by us as much as they're going to take care of our company. And it's that reason that we've been able to get one of the most phenomenal team members who are all African, led by women and by men, that this continent has ever seen. Some of them are here today. Definitely talk to them. These are some of the leading professionals in the country, on the continent, when it comes to finance, when it comes to supply chain, when it comes to how to manage people and engineering. But that's not why we hired them. We hired them because they believed in the principles, they believed in the vision of how we can actually change our country, our continent, and what our kids could live by. And the moment that we were able to invest in them, this was the moment that they were able to build a company that I can step back from and proudly present through their work. And this was clearly reflected last year when we were not only nominated, but won both Startup of the Year in Africa and the ESG Tech Company for Africa. And I want to talk a little bit about this moment because, as some of the organizers here know, this was a time when it was also a very low moment for me when it came to fundraising. I mean, I was getting a lot more no's than I felt that I deserved. And, we sat down with them and they said, all right, Kudus, we're not here to give you money. We're here to open access and opportunities so that you can grow a mission and vision that we believe you can do. That came with money, but that came with, honestly, therapy, free therapy, right? As a founder, you have a lot of stress, and having trusted ears that you can actually talk to and tell them when things are very low is super important. They gave us access, but they also gave us the confidence for others to come on board. They invested in us. And when they did that, a lot of very remarkable things happened. And I want to speak to 3 of them. We became the Global Startup of the Year. And when I remember that moment, hearing Kubik, which felt like a dream, the ones who were cheering the most, the ones who were shedding tears of joy, was not me. It wasn't my colleague Roby, who's here today, who was there. It was them. And just observing that made me feel that these are not just investors who gave us money. These were investors who wanted us to succeed and were going to be in it, whether it was going to be tough or not. And I hope everyone else can have investors like these because it's super critical. Oh yeah, those guys who said no and wanted an AI strategy, they came back. They now understood the legitimacy that we had, not only through the investments that were made through us, but through the support that we were getting through countries like here in Ethiopia. I think you heard a little bit earlier through their excellencies of how there was an encouraging push for companies like Kubik to actually succeed and show traction. And the reason why that was important for them isn't because we were an Ethiopian company. It's because we were solving a problem that mattered to them as well. Trash, real estate, climate change, these are super big issues, and we were trying to be part of the solution, and they pushed us towards it. We could demonstrate traction. We were able to have a rock star team that was able to deliver on that traction. In a very few weeks, we're going to have a factory up and running that can transform thousands of kilos of plastic waste. We've been able to build one of the most phenomenal daycare centers in the country through the city of Addis. And when people saw that, they wanted to come on board because people love winners, unfortunately. And when they saw that we were winning, when they saw that investors like the ones that we got from this award were going to support us, they came on board. But my proudest moment came when this daycare was built. So this is the first ever building in Ethiopia that's made out of trash. The journey to build it is a different story, but the people who built it, are in this room today. They worked day and night. And the other part that made me very proud is how it demonstrated to us that we can work with the city, in this case the city of Addis Ababa, on a very joint mission of driving affordability and living. And this was inaugurated several weeks ago. One of the very special things that we did was we brought our kids with us for this inauguration. And you know, they were the stars. I don't even think there were any official photos of us as a team. It was all the kids everywhere. And you know, we were playing with them. They were doing all of these activities. And my son, the kid in the black hat, you know, he came over to me and he's like, wow, I know what I want to do when I grow up. I said, what is it? He said, I'm going to make skyscrapers. I said, why? He's like, because you're only making these small little houses. I'm going to make skyscrapers out of trash, right? And that moment reminded me of the time that that pilot gave me the seat. Because here was a moment where my kid was having that mind-blowing moment as well. He was able to see this opportunity of how a city that he's living in doesn't have to stop there. It's possible to do anything. And for us, as Kubik, as an individual, as a team, what we believe in is that we are investing in a future, but we're not doing it alone. We're doing it together. Thank you.